What would you tell your younger self, knowing what you know now?
That everything that you're about to go through serves a purpose bigger than you, and that you're gonna be okay, and that it's rainbows after bad weather.
So many things.
Yeah, it's too many.
Well, for one, these people don't matter. I'm sorry, I had to start off like that.
Like, no, literally.
Like these
men
people
alone.
Oh my god.
Leave
let me
all
not
the
say what
men
I'm
alone.
Whatever you're mad about right now,
It doesn't
you're
matter.
not about to be
Oh,
mad
it
in
doesn't
6
matter.
months. It's not gonna matter
Let
in
the
6
hurt
months.
go.
Mhm.
Forgive and let go.
Yes,
because
forgiveness.
on the other side of forgiveness is freedom.
Freedom!
To
freedom! To freedom!
Oh, if you want to go to college, figure out what you want to major in or what you want to do, and or if you even need like that college degree. Because
Don't take out those loans.
college
Don't
is
do
a
it.
business, okay? It's a business, so make sure that you are using it in your favor.
Start a business.
Ooh.
Do that. Like, do everything. Like, and do it scared. Do whatever you want to do and stop being scared. And even if you are, just do it scared.
Lean into fear.
Focus on yourself, Taylor.
Literally, like. Literally. Just focus on yourself.
And there's so much other
Men,
stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That's
the
all I can
men,
think
the
of.
surface
them
level
alone.
friendships, the
Yeah.
party friends.
Leave them.
You don't need
Leave
them.
them before they leave you in the
And-
dust.
Literally leave you in the dust. Like,
Don't let anyone tell you what your worth is.
please,
The worth
no.
comes from you. You inherently gain worth. Like, don't depend on other people to give you your self-worth. These likes, these comments, these followers, all that stuff don't really matter. You have to
It's an
find
illusion.
the worth within. Don't be like waiting on how many likes you get, all the DMs, blah blah blah. That doesn't define your worth.
Thank you, Miriam.
And put some money in that savings account.
Please.
Learn how investing.
And that's it.
And that's that on that.
Invest in Bitcoin.
Girl, next.
Open up a Roth IRA when you're 20.
Yeah.
She's lucky it's recovering.
Hey, it's
That
gonna make
drop.
it's gonna make its money. It's gonna do what it needs to do.
Okay.
Nothing. People always ask that. That's like the most popular question. Like, if I was 5, I would tell myself, go ahead and color. Or I would change this and change that. I'm like, any change would change where I'm at though. You know, and I have a son, so thinking about now, if I didn't have a son, maybe I would answer that differently. You know, possibly, I don't know, because it's not my reality, so I really have no idea. But I am a mother, I am a teacher. I've done pretty much most of the things I wanted to do. I've been able to explore them. And it's like if I didn't go to Winston-Salem State University and instead I took one of the scholarships I had to Princeton, Stanford, or Harvard, I wouldn't have met my son's father. I would have had a different child. It would not be the child that I have with the father that he has. You get what I'm saying? So all of those things, I wouldn't tell myself nothing. You know, I'll let myself continue to grow and explore. I think as I went through life, everything I need to know was actually told to me. And intuitively, I've known what I need to do, which is love me, know God is real, love people, and be forgiving of myself and others. Maybe sometimes I'm better at it than I am at other times, but that hasn't changed.
How do you feel about colorism?
I don't feel nothing about it. I think it's stupid. I don't think, me thinking it's stupid is not a feeling though. I have no feeling about it. And colorism, haven't used that word with it. However, have had conversations about that with some of my friends that I was like, well, you're mulatto. They were like, how you gonna call somebody mulatto? Like, that's what you are. Like, what do you want me to call you? Biracial, multi, like, what's the best word? I don't know. And then some of the darker melanated people, and with me being brown, honestly, I don't have that experience. If I'm around a lot of more fair-skinned complexion people will have a tendency to think I'm like really dark or I'm more fair-skinned. If I'm around more darker-skinned people, I look darker. Or somebody might say I'm lighter, but it's never like an issue of I personally, I personally have not had that as an issue. I've had conversations with people who felt like that was an issue for them, like in their experience. And maybe I've had biases for people, but it would even be based on them saying it. Like, I'm light-skinned, so I'm cute. So I don't know if that's colorism still. Because if you're telling me that you're better than me, they never said they're better than me, just, I don't. When I see movies about it, documentaries, conversations, I really think it's pointless and futile, and I think it's a form of self-hatred, and I think it's a form of evading, looking, and accepting yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's like bullying. Like, oh, so what are you really saying about you that you got to spend too much time looking at somebody else and making comparisons as opposed to just looking at yourself? You know?
It's alive and well.
Alive and well. It affects a lot of things, and a lot of how we as colored folk interact. And I feel like it's a lot deeper than a lot of people give it credit for. And I think that's harmful. I think that there's something very natural and innate about colorism because it happens in like other like animals, like in nature. But I do feel the longer that we deny that it is something that affects a lot of stuff, jobs, personal lives, people's opinions, biases, who's getting loans, this, that, and the third, what's deemed beautiful, it touches a lot and it intersects into a lot of people's realities. And the longer we wait to relearn, unlearn and relearn about how that affects us, the longer and deeper the implications are going to become for how that affects us as people.
And colorism is everywhere. It's not just in America. Like even in Ethiopia, like in West Africa, people are bleaching their skin because they think that the standard is to be lighter. Like that is the beauty standard. And it's really sad to see that even like in 2021, like this is still such a huge issue.
I feel like that's such a touchy topic. And it's so touchy, and I'm just going to be honest. I'm going to be blunt. These, you know what I'm saying, are my opinions and my perspective about, you know, all these questions. But I feel like that's such a touchy topic in our community, in our culture, because of society. Like, for instance, I'm considered to be, you know, fair skin, light skin, caramel, whatever you want to call it. And being a black woman is a spectrum of different shades you can be, you know what I'm saying, ranging from the fairest of skin, like this backdrop, or, you know what I'm saying, as, you know, dark as this speaker. So it's just like, you know, it's messed up, but because of that, a lot of the times women get treated different. You know, it's often the stereotype with, you know, fair skinned black girls that, you know, you're stuck up, or you think you're so much prettier, so much better, or you may get treated better by men, or you may, you know, get more out of life, get further, with the idea that you're closer to the white woman, you know. Even if you want to take it back to slave time, you know, the fair-skinned women were the ones, you know what I'm saying, in the house, or, you know, being treated as sex slaves, and, you know, would actually have children with the master and things like that. So it's really psychologically a lot deeper than just the surface of what it is now. But I personally feel like it shouldn't be like that. I personally feel like all black women are beautiful, no matter their shade. The melanin in our skin is worth, it's priceless, actually, clearly. But I do hate it, though. I do hate that that's kind of how society is. Some stuff in life is really just it is what it is, and all you can really do is either let that be how you live your life, or go against the grain, or, you know, stand up for what you believe in. But this is, you know, for my dark skinned girls, y'all beautiful. Like, don't let nobody put you down.
I think it's rooted in self-hate. I think people who are insecure kind of lean into colorism. I think one of the key things to kind of start like breaking that culture of colorism, especially within the Black community, is for people like myself who are darker skin tone. Once you like gain that confidence in yourself, you can't really, it kind of, I don't want to say you become immune to it, like you hear the ignorance and you can acknowledge its ignorance. Like you can line it up to like what it actually is. And then for people who are like on the like preferred or whatever the case may be, like calling it out to those individuals, because when you kind of, when you're complacent in the ignorance that goes on, it continues to perpetuate that thought process or that narrative. So yeah, I think heal and just call things out like you would racism, because it's literally racism in our own communities. And people, that's a hard pill to swallow. People don't see it like that.
Like when I think about colorism, the first thing that kind of comes to mind is just like how divisive it makes the community and how much we don't really think about it. Like this team light skin, I'm team dark skin, and I'm team brown skin. Like that really, of course for like some people, you know, they call it preferences, but that really like, you know, can eat at what you think about yourself or what others think about, you know, the scale of, you know, Blackness and whatever that is. So when like I look at myself, you know, I'm considered a light-skinned woman, and oftentimes I'm just like, wow, I really recognize the privilege that I do have. Like, and even as a kid, I was a lot lighter. So it was like, what are you? Are you? And like, I definitely recognize that there was a difference in treatment because I have, you know, hazel eyes and like I have blonde hair. So it's just like, oh, she might be, you know, white. And kind of like coming into college and having some darker friends and like hearing their experiences, like it definitely opened my eyes, and I was like, okay, like I shouldn't be like, yeah, I'm team light skin, like, you know, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to have that divide. And I feel like Black people try to divide ourselves on so many different things. I mean, I know it's good to, you know, you know, kind of identify our different cultures. Like, you know, we have people who are directly from Africa, we have people from the Caribbean, whatever, but it's like American Blacks versus African Blacks, and then it's Caribbean, like, I hate that. And then we do the divide between HBCU, PWI Blacks, now we do team light skin versus team dark skin. It's just so much. I'm like, y'all, these white people don't like us already. Can we just come together on something? And it just, it frustrates me how it's just like, oh, well, my preference is light skinned girls. Well, you're dark skinned, sir. Like I personally don't get it, but I definitely think it's rooted in some self-hatred and how, you know, maybe a darker skinned man has been treated because he was dark skinned, and so now he doesn't want to experience that with like the woman that he chooses, or he wants to have like lighter kids. So it kind of just like it's gonna keep going. It's gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going, and it's not gonna fix itself until we as a community come together and stop trying to divide ourselves on the things that don't matter. Because we're already a very small population, the most hated, the most imitated, like in America, and it's just like it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But yeah. I don't know if that. You would think that like since we are so expansive in ourselves as a people, that would help us like recognize how far and wide like our people are. That we do have people, even like albino Black people, who are the lightest of light, all the way to like the deepest of tones. Like you would think that would show us that, wow, we have range. We low-key are everywhere, and like look at us as a people. You would think it would unite us, but I guess just historically with the context of color, like it's had implications. And so until people, which is I think the hard part, it takes people having to accept and acknowledge the privilege they have had being on one side of even other outside of colorism, even like featureism. I feel like colorism is like one aspect, or they're intertwined. And so featureism is also something people have to acknowledge as well, that has like, I guess had like the same ramifications as colorism on our community, but just examining why do we have these preferences, where have we learned these, and again, just like having to unlearn and relearn a lot of stuff without it becoming like a defensive type of thing. But color has been so like ingrained in us and into our identity that it's gonna be hard. And so it's just having like difficult conversations about color is where that starts, and futurism and texturism and all the isms that there are.
Very last point, just to
Yes.
kind of close out what she said. There's also a lot of trauma that's associated with different shades of the spectrum. So like, I think the major thing is people realizing like it's more than just hashtag team light skin or team dark skin. Like, ancestors have gone through a lot of things, like traumatic things that we don't even have like any idea about, because like the records aren't there or whatever the case may be. So like, it's deep. So like, it's hard, but if we want to see ourselves move forward, we have to like acknowledge the difficulty of having those conversations.
I think it's very interesting just how colorism shows up in different like areas of life or whatever. Like, I'm remembering on several occasions when people try to guess like what sorority I'm in, they always go for a particular one because I'm light skinned. And like, I've been with, you know, one of our line sisters who's also light skinned, and people be like, oh, I already know what y'all are, and they solely base that on, you know, a specific sorority. I'm like, what? Like, you know, we all have like a lot of diversity within our organizations, and it's directly always tied, like, I just know because you're light skinned. I'm like, I mean, I understand that there may be a lot of light skinned women in that sorority, and I understand the history behind that. But like, it's 2020, like, why are we still basing things off of that? Like, you know my personality, like, you know, maybe do that, or like, I don't know, dig a little deeper. But it's just like, yeah, light skin, I already know. So it's just like very interesting how people already associate that, and then like with our organization, darker skinned women, that's where they're gonna go. And why do we do that? I don't get it, but yeah, it's like colorism shows up in so many different spaces, and by adhering to the different stereotypes of things, like, we just keep perpetuating it. So yeah, it's just like, I don't know how else to break that cycle, because it's like, we show you examples, you know, something, and people still kind of ignore those examples, and just like, all right, well, can't change everybody's mind, I guess.
Or how like the white community, like they view like the people who are of lighter skin tones like more of a digestible black. Like, oh, like, you know, I'll have a black friend or whatever, and it's like, oh, that's like more palatable for them. Like, it's just, it's a whole lot.
That's a good point.
Who is someone you model your life after or serves as a mentor? Talk about the importance of having a mentor or people you can model your life after.
Jesus Christ.
If I'm being 100% honest, I guess after college, there hasn't been a lot of people in my life who I would model my life after, and I think that's something that I've had to swallow, I guess, just taking a step back and reviewing who I was looking up to, or just kind of like reviewing the influences in my life, and honestly having to separate myself from some people, because I feel like at this age, I don't want to like single out anybody, but that the older people in my life would at this point be serving as role models, and so it was a little difficult for when I realized some of them were not. And so that's just been me restructuring who I bring into my circle, where my energy is, and again realigning myself with what I think success is, because I think at a point when I was younger, there were people in my life who I would view as successful that maybe not now, reviewing like what's important to me and just the decisions I want to make going forward. So yeah, it's been a little bit difficult. There are people here and there, especially us being in our organization. It's very easy to find women to look up to, but personally it's been a little bit hard, because I've just had to reevaluate my own values before I can look at to someone else for those. And that's just me that's on being 25 and not knowing what you're doing.
I would say mentors are kind of instrumental, kind of to what Taylor touched on a little bit. We can't really do our lives on our own. I know several mentors who are actually sorors, which is crazy. I wouldn't have graduated without them, because I had significant life events that happened during my senior year, and they were like back to back to back. So if I didn't have that support or like that guidance, or people who had like connections, like one of them was a dean, So like dean of engineering. So she actually like worked with my teachers and my professors and was like, hey, like she's just not missing class because of this, like something actually happened, and like actually helped me graduate. So I think mentors are very instrumental. And if you don't have one, like kind of look around and see, like Bria said, know like your values before you search for certain people, because a lot of people pretend to be mentors and they're just using you for their own purposes.
Honestly, these days, I wouldn't necessarily say I have anybody I necessarily look up to, because what I realize more and more about life and just about, us as humans, like we all are imperfect beings.
Well, in all honesty, I wouldn't say I've ever really tried to model my life after someone. Like, I never was like the type of person like, oh, that's my role model. Like, I even think back to when I was a kid and like, in class and school, they would make you do like, my role model, my hero. Like, I was like, I don't know, dad. I was like, no, I was like 1 year I did dad, 1 year I did mom. Like, it wasn't really real. Like, I didn't have, like, I was never the type of person to really like, yes, that's my role. I want to be you when I grow up. Like, it wasn't really like that for me. And I think right now it's still kind of like not, I'm just like, I don't really look at people in that way, because I understand now like how flawed and how imperfect we all are. So it's like, I don't want to try to model myself after anyone except for Christ. So that's like one thing about that. But mentorship definitely is very important to me. I've gotten some mentors over the past few years that have definitely really helped me, and they all have very, very similar qualities, and a spirit that really wants to help people, and it's not about them, it's about helping. So yeah, and I've definitely taken on that spirit myself and like try to give that same mentorship. So yeah, that's been very important. But in terms of role model, I'm like, nah, I'm good.
I don't think I've ever had any role models in my life or any mentors necessarily. I do think mentorship is important, but I think you shouldn't try to replicate every step that they've done to your own life, because not everyone's journey is the same. But I think it's important to like let other people know the knowledge that you know, like tell them some life lessons that you've experienced so that they can avoid that. And especially like in careers and like work life, like representation is important. So it's nice to see like someone who's older than you who also kind of looks like you, who can kind of give you like the ins and outs of a specific job or anything like that. So mentorship is definitely important. I like to make sure that I always give back to people who are younger than me, let them know any advice, any tips, tricks, whatever, so that they don't have to like struggle. Because I think a lot of people they like to keep like the success to themselves. So I think it's really important to kind of like give back and let other people learn as well. So yeah.
I have so many awesome mentors. Goodness. I couldn't just choose one, to be honest. I could say there's certain attributes that I look at in every mentor, male and female, old and young, Italian, white, African-American, African, Indian, because they're all from different cultures too. The variety of mentors I had, they have the same attributes. A lot of them are very strong-minded. A lot of them are very godly people, spiritual people. They're also people who will fight you, old and young. I mean, if it comes to it, they're not the type of people just gonna walk all over, But they're also the type of people who have integrity and dignity for themselves. And as one of my mentors say, they got that get up and go, And that's why they like mentoring me. And they're very open-minded. They're strong in what they believe, but also open-minded at the same time. And what they know is what they know, and what they don't know is what they don't know. At this point in my life, it's important to have a mentor. When I was younger, I would be like, I don't need no mentor. I ain't looking up to nobody. My professors would ask me to find a mentor. Oh, man, bump that. I'm me. Nobody's doing what I'm doing. And that is a true statement. I don't think you'll ever find a person who is doing exactly what you want to do unless you're in more of like a corporate America type of career path, or something that's more like a trade. But if you're a creative like myself, you're not going to find two artists who do the exact same thing. You're not gonna find two actors who are exactly the same, or two stars who are exactly the same. So I really think it depends on what you're doing, but you can find people who teach you the traits of structuring and disciplining yourself, believing in yourself, and learning how to tailor yourself in a way to achieve that what you want. You know, they may challenge your thought processes to make you go outside the box. They may encourage you so that, you know, when you're feeling kind of down and everything like that, you're able to push forward and know that you're not the only one believing in you. And I've had mentors who were like, they didn't even believe some of the stuff I said I was going to do. They were just being encouraging. And then when I did, they were like, you did it. I knew you could. I didn't know how, but you did it. So I think that's important. And a mentor could be somebody younger than you too. It doesn't have to be somebody that's older. I want to emphasize that. Like, I think that's critical. Mentors are just people, dead or alive, known or not known. It could be a book, and whoever wrote that book inspires you. That is a mentor. Because mentors you don't have access to all the time, but you glean from their experience and their knowledge. Lifelong learner.
What is your opinion on PWIs and HBCUs?
I think it doesn't matter what college you go to as long as it matches your program, you feel comfortable, and you can afford it. I've been to both. I've had great experiences at both. I've had questionable experiences at both. I mean, they're institutions, and nothing's perfect, so the biggest, like, just saying, institute. So any institution that's structured by people is gonna have some conflicts to it. And colleges itself is a bunch of young adults living in a microcosm. It's like the experience of being in reality TV, but it's really reality. So it's so many variables that a lot of it depends on your perspective, your choices, and your circle. Not just the school.
I feel like they're drastically different, but I honestly, I never been to a PWI, I don't think, as far as to party, or I visited, but U of R, I guess that counts. They're drastically different. I don't know as far as parties and things like that per se, but even when I was at Richard Bland College, we had William and Mary's curriculum versus me being at Virginia State now, and the curriculum and the workload is two completely different things. I personally feel like HBCUs are very necessary, and they don't get enough recognition, for real, because I mean, it was a time where we weren't even, allowed to learn, and now we literally have historically black colleges. I feel like that's beautiful, and it really isn't celebrated enough. I mean, it is when you there, it is when you an alumni, but if you ain't go to college, it's just not like it's not nothing you think about. PWIs school, I don't have nothing against them, but they're not HBCUs.
I think they're both excellent
I can't.
institutions of learning.
School, a degree is a degree is a degree is a degree. I understand, historically, how important HBCUs are. But listen, everybody, we all educated, and I feel like when we do that, a lot of these PWIs and HBCUs, it's a whole lot of elitism in some kind of way. Either black elitism, white acceptance elitism, all of it. Nobody is better than anybody else for having a piece of paper from a higher institution that is run like a capitalistic demon in society. So look, higher education, we should not be paying to be educated, and that is what it is. That is a whole.
That's true.
It's a scheme, it's a scam, but you do what you can. I feel like black people being educated is what we need to see, regardless of where it's at.
Just like what Taylor was saying earlier, let's not continue to divide, divide our forces or whatever. We should just continue to unify, and we're all educated, and that's an accomplishment in itself. So
I just believe go to the school that draws you nearest. It's calling on your heart, whatever it is. for whatever the many reasons why someone, you know, decides to attend an institution, like just go where you want to be. Like I decided to go to the PWI for completely different reasons. Like yes, I wanted to be in a comfortable space like at a HBCU, but in terms of like what I wanted to do, and you know, when I toured the university, my experience with that, like that's just why I went there. I know a lot of people end up going to PWIs because they're paying, like with scholarships and stuff. But yeah, just like whatever institution is gonna draw you, go to it. It's not that big of a deal. Get your degree and get out. Have a good time. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Enjoy yourself.
That's probably be the only time in your life where you're around people your own age. So
That's actually best.
enjoy it. Because post grad life depression
Yikes.
Is real deal.